Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining today. We're looking forward to a lively discussion. We'll just give it one more minute for a few more people just to come in here and join, but thank you for joining. Just a couple more, about 20 more seconds and we'll get started. Excellent. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And we're excited for a lively discussion around exceeding hiring goals, building better relationships with candidates via WhatsApp. Before we get started, thank you for taking time out of your busy days to join us. We love questions, so ask us anytime via the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer them during the presentation or webinar, but also we'll save time at the end. But by all means, feel free to ask us any questions that you might have. And this will be recorded and distributed afterwards, so you can share it with your team, so you've got a kind of a record of it. Today, the speakers are myself, and I'm joined by my co-panelist, Matt Rubin. Matt, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, David. Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Rubin. I've been at Sense for a little over 5 years now, and I work on the engineering and product side of our messaging and communication products.
Excellent, thank you. And for those who don't know me, I'm David Shaplady, Senior Account Executive for the EMEA region here at Sense. I've been at Sense for about coming on 2 years, and then in the recruitment technology sector for about 10 years. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you. The agenda today, so what we're going to cover is what is Sense messaging? How does WhatsApp for Sense messaging work? We're going to guide you through a demonstration. Well, Matt's going to run you through that. The benefits of WhatsApp via Sense messaging, and then also what's coming next with Sense messaging. A bit about Sense, again, for those who don't know. So Sense is a global recruitment technology platform or system of engagement. The company was founded around 7 years ago. Today, we support around 1,000 customers around the world. We engage 100 million candidates via our technology and automation platform. We have 50,000 recruiters who use Sense daily, and we've powered over 8 million hires for our clients. We're backed by investors such as Google, Excel, and SoftBank, and we work with some of the sort of leading, most forward-thinking, fast-growing businesses around the world. What is Sense messaging? So Sense messaging is a total texting solution for engagement, which is enabled with WhatsApp and SMS. It allows recruiters to communicate faster and build better relationships with their candidates via personalized one-to-one messages or customized broadcast or mass texting, also enabled for automated check-ins as well. Of our customers that are using our messaging solution today, they're experiencing drastic increased response rates, up to 55% increase in their response rates, 3 times faster replies, and 30% plus increase in recruiter productivity, which is having a really big impact to not only their kind of time to hire, time to fill, but obviously like the productivity output from their teams by using the technology. I'll hand over to Matt now to talk about WhatsApp features.
Thanks, David. So our WhatsApp messaging product enables recruiters to source for key positions, push their workforce through the hiring funnel, and build lasting candidate relationships, all while keeping candidate communications synced to their database. We offer both one-on-one and mass outreach and can support many different types of teams with features like shared lines, opt-out syncs, and security groups. And in addition to offering business WhatsApp messaging for recruiters on our Chrome extension and our mobile apps, we give managers and administrators the tools for tracking the performance of their teams and keeping them on brand. Later in our session, David is going to walk you through how different teams are leveraging these features in more detail. But first, I'm going to give you a demo. Mary, I apologize. Can you give me screen share permission?
David, if you want to go ahead and stop sharing your screen, then Matt can go ahead and take over.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So here I have pulled up an ATS system. This is the Bullhorn ATS. And on top of it is the Sense Chrome extension. And you can see the Sense Chrome extension allows you to view your inbox and manage your communications directly on top of your ATS system. We'll work with pretty much any ATS system. I'm just using Bullhorn as an example today. The first thing I want to show you is I have a phone number assigned with both SMS and WhatsApp capabilities. So you can see that I can toggle between SMS and WhatsApp messages in my inbox and view the different types of communication that I'm having with different candidates. The Chrome extension allows you to click any phone number on the screen to initiate a conversation with a candidate. So you can see I'm going to do this here and open my conversation with Chris Corrigan. And the next thing I want to talk about is the different types of messages that WhatsApp Business supports. So every communication channel that's successful and like stays healthy for consumers has checks and balances in it to make sure that it remains a good communication channel for consumers. And the way that the WhatsApp business channel does that is by requiring first outreach to a consumer to be done through an approved templated message. Now, that might sound scary, but these templates can be very flexible and get approved in less than a day. And you can have like hundreds of them, really as many as you want. So what I'm going to do is I have this candidate, Chris Corrigan, and I want to reach out to him and offer him a new job or ask him if he's interested in a new job. So I'm going to go ahead and send a templated message here about a new job opportunity. And you can see here, this message has been approved with Meta. It's also got some variables in it, which is something that you can have in your templates just fine. And in this case, it's configured to pull these variables from the ATS and from the Sense system. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send. And you can see that my message went out to Chris. I'm also going to show you, so if you watch closely at the bottom here, Chris is going to respond to this message and show interest. And what we're going to see is as this message comes in, I no longer have to use a templated message to do outreach with Chris, and I'm going to get a 24-hour free texting window with him where I can say anything I want, use free text messages, send interview links, do anything else I would normally do through my messaging client. So that's what one-on-one texting looks like using our WhatsApp product. The next thing I want to show is what sending a mass text looks like. So if I go here and I go to create a new message, you can see that on my screen I've filtered a list of candidates that meet a certain criteria. And as you're going through your daily workflow, you'd probably filter this by something like what candidates are looking for work or what candidates might be qualified for a job based on a certain set of criteria. And I can go in here and I can grab all of the phone numbers off the screen, add them into my recipients, and I can do an outreach to every person on my list. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So maybe it's once again like a sourcing message. And I'm going to go ahead and send that out. You'll see here, this sends out as a broadcast. As this goes out and reaches these recipients, I'll actually get all of the responses aggregated in this one view, and I'll get any analytics if I'm sending to a lot of people to see how many people received and responded to the message. The last thing I wanted to show today was the notes that'll sync back to the ATS system. So every ATS system has their own concept of this, but pretty much every single ATS system has a concept of notes on the candidate record, as well as like contact records. And the way that the WhatsApp messaging product works, we'll record notes as configured by per customer to either record every single message in and out as a note, within a few minutes of when the messages are sent received, or we allow customers to get what's called like a daily summary, where we can aggregate all of your conversations with the candidate for the day and put them into a single note so that we reduce clutter. And that's the messaging over WhatsApp product. We'll give an opportunity later for people to ask questions. But next, we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of using WhatsApp for sense messaging.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Matt.
Excellent. So I think that there's like 4 key benefits to using WhatsApp for sense messaging. The first one I want to talk about is reaching candidates on their primary channel of communication. And this one is the most important and so important. Engaging candidates on their primary channel of communication is going to give your candidates the best experience. And in many countries, segments, and verticals around the world, WhatsApp is the best channel for engaging candidates and is going to drive the highest response rate and the highest conversions in your funnel. Whether you're trying to source leads, convert placements, reduce no-shows, or build long-term relationships to drive redeployments. Second, using WhatsApp for sense messaging is going to help your teams collaborate. If you're not offering your team a business texting solution on the primary system of engagement for their candidates, your recruiters are probably reaching out to their candidates using their personal devices because they understand that first point. They understand that if they're not reaching out to candidates on their primary channel, they're not going to get a very good response rate. So these types of interactions are often not going to get recorded in your database or engagement systems and make it easy for recruiters to spam people, disrupt hiring momentum, or walk away with candidates when they leave your company. Next, the next reason that you should use WhatsApp for sense messaging is to defend yourself against compliance claims. In many countries, candidates can report or file litigation against companies with spammy recruiting practices. And while each company should do its own legal research to set the right communication practices for engaging candidates, Sense offers great features for avoiding spam, sending quality messages, identifying problematic recruiters, and keeping a full record of all communications to help you be as prepared as possible if you ever face an issue. And then finally, we want a lot of companies use WhatsApp for sense messaging to really put their brand first. Companies can use templates, mass texting suppression, analytics, and opt-out sync to ensure that their teams are staying on message and reaching out to the right candidates at the right time. And without these controls in place, it doesn't take much for a rogue recruiter on your team to send poor quality messaging to a lot of candidates and seriously damage the brand of your company.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt.
And I'm going to hand it over to David. Sorry. Sorry, we're actually going to do a poll next. Let us know after hearing this, would you like to hear more about sense messaging?
Thanks so much for that poll just to finish up. Some really good questions coming through the box. Thank you. We are going to come to them shortly. I think it might be good to kind of bring them all together a little bit, but otherwise we will respond directly. First question actually is, do you have a list of compatible ATSs? So we are able to share that with you after the fact. Sense has actually built around dozens of integrations with ATSs around the world. So it's actually probably easier to understand maybe some of the ones that you are looking for specifically, instead of sharing the whole list. But effectively, that was by design, because when you start to identify a bit of a challenge around needing the ability to WhatsApp, you don't want to then find a vendor, then start worrying potentially about integrations. But by all means, we'll actually we'll follow up after this with that list. So I wanted to kind of describe some customer results from using Sense WhatsApp, and kind of speak to kind of popular use cases within that. So to start off, faster responses. So we have a client, we have many clients, but one specifically who recruits in the healthcare space. As we all probably can either imagine or already know, that healthcare is all about sort of speed and efficiencies, and it's a 24/7 environment. So this company, headquartered in the UK, but they have offices around lots of different countries around the world. And they were really struggling to get responses from their nurses and doctors and healthcare professionals, because they were primarily using email as the medium. And there was basically because there was resistance, or from them actually using, they didn't want their consultants to be using their own personal devices, or even worse, their own personal kind of WhatsApp accounts, because they just couldn't kind of control it. And there's sorts of layers of compliance challenges with that type of model. But nonetheless, they were still struggling to get responses. Candidates were almost like responding a little bit out of sync sometimes in regards to the process by trying to use email. So they adopted Sense messaging, and they saw a drastic increase in the speed of their responses, not only engaging for their kind of compliant, ready to work workers like nurses and doctors, but also their passive database as well. Are you, it's been 6 months since we spoke, that type of thing. They're able to kind of re-engage them a lot faster. And also for workers out on assignment as well, on shifts, how are you getting on? Did you go on your first day? You're going to get a much faster response rate for that. They found they got a much faster response rate. And this is actually supported by a survey that we ran, that 78% of candidates actually prefer to engage about recruitment via messaging. And it also helps your team to achieve 5 times faster responses than compared with email. And if you think about the time that it would take you to fill a shift or a position, if you're able to kind of move candidates through the process faster 5 times, that's a real big impact to your speed to hire, time to hire, and ultimately revenue as well. Moving over to templates. So another Sense customer, they're specializing in technology recruitment. So varying levels, but also international as well. And we engaged with the head of marketing, who was quite concerned effectively around protecting their employer brand, or the inconsistency and quality of the content that was going out via messaging from their 60 consultants. They're basically sending out broadcast message. There could be typos, there could be grammar problems, all that type of thing, and it wasn't consistent. And that from someone from a marketing perspective, or head of communications, was a real challenge for them. So they moved to Sense messaging for a number of reasons, things that we've talked about already around fast response rates. But for this individual particularly, it was actually around templates. And what they were able to do was actually, even just as a first message, just to have that first kind of outreach, was around, using a templated message that had been approved, could be shared amongst all the users, and everybody knew that for new assignment, new opportunity, use this template first. And then after that, we're not trying to turn you into robots. We want you to actually start having conversations, but they at least knew that that first outreach was going to be consistent on the brand. And what they found was actually they were able to not only measure kind of how the better responses, but almost a little bit why they were getting better responses as well. They could actually look at consultants who are getting historically better responses, and actually use their first outreaches as kind of templates, and actually play around with it a little bit. And then what the outcome was is that they were able to achieve that consistent message, able to actually improve the kind of baseline first level engagement with the template, and then also be able to measure a lot more around response times, that type of thing. customer C, not giving them kind of the dues that they need by call customer C. But for example, our third example of a client, this was actually a direct hire, so head of talent acquisition for a large retailer and distribution company. And basically, they given the nature of their workforce, being picker packers, store workers, that type of thing, they knew that they needed to use messaging as a medium in order to gauge their workforce. The reason being is that those workers tend to actually be on their phones more than email, and even less sat behind a desk. So it was perfect for them. But the problem is that they effectively it was all happening outside of the ATS. So what was happening is it was happening on their work devices. But then when someone was sick or out of the office or on PTO annual leave, they never knew what was going on with that candidate. So that was a real broken experience for candidates when they might text back, but then actually not get a response at all, or for a few days. So someone couldn't step in and pick up that conversation. So they moved over to Sense messaging in order to to bring it all together, to collaborate more inside of the Sense messaging solution. And that was actually going to enable them to have ATS writebacks, or the history logged, but also conversational context, which we might be able to speak a bit more about later, where they can actually see very quickly what's been going on with that candidate in the last 24 hours. And then they can kind of go, right, that was a shift that they were talking about. Absolutely, I can help you pick up with that again. And for them, that just really, it helped them speed up and be more efficient, but it also provided a much better experience for their talent coming through the pipeline. ATS writebacks. So, we've, for those who maybe just to kind of confirm, maybe those who don't know what that is, just to really just kind of boil it down. ATS writebacks is when, activity is being recorded against the candidate record in the ATS. And so that's quite straightforward when you are, sending communications out of the ATS. But as we've talked about with other clients, they're using emails. That's not where we want to be playing. We want to be looking around WhatsApp. So when you're using WhatsApp, if that's not integrated to the ATS, then it's not going to write back. And that's where Sense is basically, by doing that heavy plumbing of the integrations beforehand, are able to capture the conversation history and then write it back onto the candidate record. Why are they important? Matt touched on this a little bit earlier. And someone who's smarter than me once said, you can't fix what you can't measure. And so basically that means that history and it becomes really important when it comes to compliance, data security, protecting intellectual property, being able to get a pulse on engagement and satisfaction. All these things are really important in regards if you've got to capture the record history. So one question come through, which I'll actually take that now. Matt, I don't know if you want to take this one. Is Sense messaging WhatsApp available as an app, or as an app on your mobile phone, or would it only work when you're on your desktop?
Absolutely, it's available as an app on both iOS and Android. You can send and receive messages from mobile. And really the way that we see most recruiters using the product is that they'll do a lot of outreach from their desktop using the Chrome extension and over their applicant tracking system. But when the responses come in, they're often not sitting at their computer, and they're often responding to candidates from mobile. We think this is really important because while obviously recruiters work on a schedule, candidates don't always. So when one of your candidates reaches out and he doesn't know where to show up for the first day of work, or he's running late for an interview and needs to get in contact with the client, having that recruiter available to provide a small amount of assistance to help convert the placement is really, really useful.
Awesome. Thank you. Great question. Excellent. I'll hand over to you, Matt, for this part.
Awesome. Thanks, David. So next I'm going to talk a little bit about best practices for sending a WhatsApp message. Not all messages are the same. And one of the best ways that you can get your recruiters to be more efficient and to improve your hiring funnel is by being really intentional about the messages that they send. So there's a few different things that go into this. The first thing I want to talk about is targeting the right candidate for the right job. So candidates respond best to messages about things they've inquired about, or things that they've like showed signaling towards in the past. So if you're sourcing, you really want to use those signals in your database to target candidates with specific skills for jobs that you're hiring for, based in locations with a lot of hiring or that you know are looking for work. The better you understand the audience, the better your funnel is going to look and the more your brand will improve. And this is really important because if you send candidates a bunch of messages about jobs that they're not interested in, they're probably not going to respond when you send them a message about the one that they are. So definitely targeting is the first thing I would recommend around sending good WhatsApp messages. The next thing I want to talk about is timing. Understanding where your candidates are in the hiring process and getting them the right message at the right time. If you know a candidate is about to complete a placement, they're likely open to work. If you know a candidate is about to start a new job, they'll probably appreciate an encouraging reminder message and it'll help make sure that they don't no-show. And if you ask a candidate if they're looking for work when they're already working with another recruiter at your company, or they've just started a placement that you found them, they're probably not going to be very happy and be unlikely to respond. So timing is really important. Obviously, we're working on top of that ATS system. We have all of that hiring data. We even have some features in Sense where you can see their hiring data directly in the conversation timeline and their collaboration with other recruiters. So it's very important to use that data to make sure you're reaching out to the candidate at the right time. The next thing that goes into best practices for sending a WhatsApp message is really focusing on your content. So avoiding all caps, spelling errors, or excessive punctuation when talking to candidates. Your tone should be friendly but professional. You're asking candidates to trust you to help them find a good job, and keeping your content quality high is a great way to show that you and your organization are trustworthy. Some organizations go as far as putting together content for their candidates as a way of building trust, sending them guides on how to put together a resume or pass an interview in their vertical of work. And then finally, obviously with these different strategies in place, managers and administrators need to know if recruiters are following best practices. And one of the best ways to see which of your recruiters are following best messaging practices in your organization is to track their candidate response rate. As David and I mentioned earlier, we provide analytics dashboards where managers can go in and see the performance of their different recruiters. In this response rate metric, while response rate varies across hiring verticals, so I can't give you an exact North Star of what you should be targeting. It's a great individual metric for seeing who on your team may need coaching and who may have identified unique strategies that are working and can be shared with other recruiters. So next, let's talk a little bit about personalization. Earlier, I mentioned that quality content helps build trust when you're reaching out to candidates. And one of the best ways that you can do that is by personalizing your messages. There are many effective ways you can personalize your messages without conceding that professional tone that we want to target. And some ideas include using emojis that convey support when something positive happens. Show your candidates that you're excited for them when you think they may be a good fit for a job or when they make progress through the hiring pipeline. But we do want to be careful here and avoid using too many emojis or using emojis related to money, as they can make outreach seem like spam or even scam. Share basic information about yourself, such as your first name, your interests, or what city you live in. You probably don't want to share enough information that the candidate could actually identify you, but sharing a small amount of information can help you build trust. And if you remember that template that I sent out earlier, it included like the recruiter's first name. And we always encourage customers to build templates like that. Because I think that from a candidate perspective, if you receive a message where the person reaching out to you identifies themselves, it feels a lot more trustworthy and less likely to be spam or scam. Next, when doing mass texting, use variables from your ATS profiles to make candidates feel like each message is personal. We've all received text messages that sound very impersonal and that we know were just blasted to thousands of people. The response rate on messages like that are definitely not as good as the ones that you've received that feel like they came just to you. So even just using a name variable from your ATS system can make candidates feel like they were contacted by a human and not by a computer system. And then finally, take advantage of the communication channel. WhatsApp supports media attachments and long messages, making it a perfect channel for sending everything from encouraging GIFs to extended explanations on why you think someone would be great for a job. So figuring out how to make your messaging sound both personal and professional will significantly improve your response rates and your ability to develop long-term candidate relationships. Next, we're going to jump over to a poll, and we're going to show you guys a message. And I want you guys to tell me, is this a good message?
Just give it a couple more minutes. Oh no, sorry, minutes. Just a couple more seconds actually, just to get the answers in.
Excellent. We see everyone responded no. And that's great. It means that you've been listening and probably that you've been working in this space for a while. So you guys are right. There's definitely some things here we can do to improve the response rate of this message and make it less likely to get flagged or reported. The first thing I want to talk about is capitalization. So there's never a good time to use all caps in a message to candidates, period. This is going to come across as spammy and damage your credibility, potentially resulting in low response rate and even flagging of your phone number or account by WhatsApp. I think recruiters sometimes fall into this trap because they think all caps is attention grabbing. But in the current world that we live in, where we all receive so much spam, I think that using all caps really just makes your message look spammy and is going to hurt your chances of getting a good response. Another poor behavior that we see here is punctuation. The 2 exclamation points in a row looks very spammy after we have a retail sales associate position open now. This is not a good use of punctuation, and as does having multiple sentences that end in exclamation points. There's also no period at the end of the sentence, which hurts the credibility of the recruiter and their brand. And then finally, we talked a little bit about the value of adding some personalization to your messages when doing outreach. Simply identifying your name and the company you're hiring on behalf of will go a long way in building this credibility. So let's take a look at the revised message. Hi, Caitlin. It's Matt from Blue Way Staffing. We have a retail sales associate position open now. Are you interested? Let me know ASAP. And as we mentioned, we have the personalization here. We're not using all caps and we're not using that excessive punctuation. And if I was a candidate and I received this message, it would feel personal and I would be likely to respond. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about WhatsApp compliance. So any good consumer communication channel has a compliance system that keeps consumers attentive by keeping engagement quality high and punishing spam and scam. And I'm sure everyone here has an email inbox where every second or third message that they receive is like is spam, is promotions, is marketing. Like over time, what we've seen is that really degrade the email channel. And that's why response rates on emails have gotten to like under 10%. If you've worked with SMS in the past, SMS compliance is mostly owned by the carriers, who will block, filter, or fine phone numbers that get a poor response rate or a high number of complaints. But with WhatsApp, it's a little bit similar, but instead of the compliance body being the carriers, it's the compliance is primarily managed by Meta. And can result in punishments of its own if messaging is considered a spam or scam. Meta looks at metrics like response rate and opt-out rate to determine if a phone or brand is sending poor traffic, and can sometimes respond to issues by reducing the throughput of phone numbers or suspending accounts. Many countries also have government rules around candidate outreach, and we definitely encourage you to be aware of what those are, to do your own research around your local regulations for consumer outreach. As of 2021, recruiting is an allowed use case under Meta's commerce and business messaging policies, as are marketing use cases in general. However, it's still in your best interest to ensure you're sending high quality messages to candidates who are expecting them. It's good practice to collect opt-ins from your candidates before reaching out to them on any channel or during your initial outreach. As a general rule of thumb, Meta does not want to punish businesses who are providing a good consumer experience. So if you are focusing on making sure that your candidate experience is good, even for candidates, like for all the candidates that you reach out to, not just the ones that you're placing, Meta is going to be very unlikely to punish you. And next, we're going to talk a little bit about what's next for sense messaging. So I'm going to show you a quick demo of one of our new AI features on messaging. By now, most of you have probably heard the industry buzz around using AI to make recruiters more efficient and effective, and already know that Sense is making a big AI push in 2023. Some of you might have even caught our AI webinar last month with one of our partners at Anthropic, and today I'm going to show you our new writing assistant feature. So here we have a recruiter talking to a candidate they've worked with in the past, who's about to come off an assignment. The recruiter wants to redeploy the candidate onto a new placement and has a company in mind that they know is hiring. And normally they'd spend a bunch of time writing a message of variable quality to the candidate. But with our text generation feature, instead of writing that message, they can prompt their virtual assistant to write it. So here they're going to go in and they're going to ask their virtual assistant to write a message to check if the candidate is open to new work. And the virtual assistant's going to write it. It's going to pop that message into the box. The recruiter will still review that message before it goes out. We don't want to automatically be sending AI generated content. They can make any final updates that are required. And then maybe they're looking at it and they say, hey, this is pretty good, but I actually want it to be shorter. And maybe I also want it to be a little bit friendlier. This is pretty professional. I want it to stay professional, but I want it to be a little bit friendlier. I've worked with this candidate in the past. Well, they can go back to that writing assistant and they can prompt it to update the style of that message. And it's going to write them a new message that better fits the style that they're looking for. And now that the recruiter's done, once again, they can review this message and make any edits, and they can send it out to the candidate. We're seeing, as we see AI breach the recruiting space, this is one of the most valuable use cases that we've seen, where text generation can help recruiters write good messages and write them faster. But that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to AI and recruiting. AI research has come a long way in the last few years, and we're committed to using new technology at Sense to make all kinds of recruiter workflows more efficient and effective. We've already brought AI to many parts of the Sense product, and we have many more plans to do so, even within WhatsApp messaging, with use cases such as offering quick replies and actions to recruiters, flagging messages in the inbox as urgent, and suggesting template variants to improve response rates. So expect a lot more to come on the AI front for messaging in the coming months.
Thank you, Matt. So we are moving into Q&A now. So we have kind of come towards the end of the session, but it's certainly not end in the realms of answering your questions, and we really appreciate the Q&A channel that's been a busy place. So what I'll do is I'll start off with the first question. So can you integrate with bullhorn automation or hairfish? Matt, do you want to take that one, or would you like me to?
Well, why don't you take it, David?
Sure. So, I mean, there's kind of two parts to it. So we're going to work together. But ultimately, the Sense, what we should talk about today, our WhatsApp technology, is a part of the Sense, product suite. And within our product suite, we have a solution which is Sense Engage Automation, integrated into Bullhorn. Works, kind of in a similar capacity to Bullhorn Automation or Hairfish. But with the WhatsApp integration will be enabled for automation would be through our automation engine, not through Bullhorn Automation. So just kind of make that comparison. So if the question is, do we have an automated WhatsApp platform? It's coming imminently, but it would be via Sense, our Sense solution. Matt, anything you would add to that, or?
Yeah, I just one thing to add is the way typically whatever channel you're working on here, WhatsApp, like only one technology can have access to one phone number at a time. And what that means is that our automation solution paired with our WhatsApp messaging solution will be able to send messages on behalf of individual recruiters. And you won't be able to get that by pairing different point solutions for automation and one-on-one or mass texting. So I think that's like a really powerful value prop of putting your messaging and your automation solution on the same platform.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, great question. Thank you for that. So then, question here: did you find it difficult to get your recruiters to embrace text messaging after being accustomed to a phone or getting accustomed to phone and email for so long? So, and I can take that one, Matt. So, I mean, short answer is no. I mean, the reason being is because people are actually already messaging. This isn't kind of new methodology from a personal perspective, but it's about how do we kind of bring that into the professional world or into the recruiting world in regards to being a primary medium for recruiting. So, when the adoption is actually very high, and some of our clients actually, I mean, the demand from their recruiters and their business and pretty much everyone is very high for WhatsApp. They know it's the preferred medium, and they know that they will win and be more effective if they're using that as a medium for communicating. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, Matt, anything you would add, or?
Yeah, just as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have a business texting solution today, your recruiters are probably still texting. They're just texting on behalf of themselves and not your business. So we've seen that this is like one of the top reasons that companies will adopt a business texting solution is because they want to own those candidates. They don't want their recruiters to own them and walk away with them if they leave the company.
Yeah, it's a good point. Another question is: anything you would recommend adding to messages in order to verify authenticity of message outreach to avoid it looking like fraud?
Yeah, I can actually talk to this. One nice thing about WhatsApp is you can actually the number will show up on behalf of your business if you configure it that way to end candidates. And that's like one good way that you can show trust and is to actually attach your brand to the messages that candidates are receiving. So that can be one good strategy for verifying the authenticity. But at the end of the day, like as I mentioned before, one of the most important things for conveying trust is really just message writing in tone. And if you write good, I think that we've all received enough spam messages that the ones that have poor tone or poor quality content or have a lot of capitalization and punctuation, our brains have gotten good at picking those out fast and recognizing them and deleting them or reporting them. So I think one of the most important things is just focusing on the tone and quality of your message. Obviously, if you have actual like job descriptions too, that's like another good way to kind of build the trust of your candidates. The more information you can give them about what you're asking from them, the more likely you're going to be to get engagement.
Excellent. Great answer. Thanks, Matt. A couple more questions. Can it be integrated? There's kind of two parts to this. Can I receive messages, send and receive messages via Outlook rather than logging into effectively an ATS? I mean, we basically we have a Chrome extension enabled, which would mean that it wouldn't necessarily kind of integrate into Outlook. But we tend to integrate more into ATSs or system of records where we would be able to write back onto that record. However, with it being a Chrome extension, you're not limited to just using it inside the ATS, and that's by design. That we know that recruiters don't tend to always live their day in the ATS as much as business leaders would want them to be. They're on social channels, they're on LinkedIn, they're on job boards, understandably. And so the Chrome extension actually enables them to send WhatsApp messages or SMSs wherever the phone number is displayed. So if they're on a job board and they see a phone number, they can pick it up with the Chrome extension, they can send that message. But if the candidate exists in your ATS, because we all know that often the ATSs can actually be a good source for candidate data, believe it or not, then it would actually write back onto that candidate record as well. So, I hope that answers that question. Okay. Whose phone number is used for receiving of the WhatsApp messages? Is this my personal number? This is my personal mobile number being used. Matt, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically you'd want to use like a work phone number for this, but we can support both purchasing new numbers to use with our WhatsApp and our texting platform, as well as for WhatsApp, we support what's called BYON, or bring your own number, where you can take an existing phone number that you already have, that you're already using for communications with candidates, and you can basically pass ownership of the WhatsApp over to our platform so that you can use it with the Sense product.
Excellent. Lastly, how easy is it to broadcast so lots of candidates at one time via WhatsApp? Matt, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think very easy. I mean, obviously you have to put together your list of candidates somehow. But as I showed in the demo earlier, you can grab lists of numbers off of any page on the web. Primarily, we see people using their ATS systems. We also support CSV upload as a way of uploading lists of candidates. We have some customers who work more out of spreadsheets than out of their ATS for some of the sourcing part of the hiring funnel. We also support those customers through CSV upload. So broadcasts are definitely a very easy feature to use by design. We also support role-based limits around the number of people that are different recruiters on your team can reach out to with a broadcast.
Excellent. Sorry, 1 second, Matt. How do you get notifications of a candidate? I'm trying to bring the questions together there. How do you get notified if a candidate responds?
Yeah. So we support a number of different ways that you can get notified when a candidate responds. The most obvious one is if you're using the Chrome extension, you'll get a little badge that shows up on the little pop-out icon for the Chrome extension that shows you if you have unread messages, if you have that Chrome extension closed. If you have it open, that little notification will show up right in the UI. You'll be able to see who you have a new message from. If you don't have that Chrome extension open, you're also going to get email notifications that are configurable that'll tell you when you have new messages. There's push notifications on both the Chrome extension as well as on the mobile apps. So all of our notification settings are pretty configurable, but I think the answer is almost however you want.
Sure. Lots of different ways. Yeah. I think the best way to put it is to make sure that you will know if a candidate responds. We've made that really important part of it.
Yeah.
Another question here. Do you have restrictions on the countries that consultants can send SMSs to, or is it global coverage?
Yeah, so for SMS, there are certain countries that don't support business texting. It's a pretty small list. We have pretty broad coverage when it comes to global SMS. And if you have specific questions about countries that you're trying to support, we'd encourage you to reach out after this call. As far as WhatsApp goes, one of the nice things about WhatsApp is it works the same in every country, and it's truly international. So there are no restrictions on Meta's side in terms of what countries you can reach through WhatsApp.
Excellent. In terms of response rates, do you monitor length of messages in order to analyze if shorter messages or longer messages are more effective, like other platforms might do for analytics?
We don't have anything specific around this in our analytics platform. And I think a lot of the reason for that is people are using texting for a lot of different use cases. So if you think about like how LinkedIn works, like people are primarily using it for sourcing. But with texting, people are using it for sourcing, but they're also using it for to make sure their candidates are showing up for interviews and placements and make sure they have all the information they need, and to collect forms or send over links to different forms that candidates need. So not every type of messaging is going to have the same response rate. And that's also why it's a little hard for me to tell you exactly what your North Star response number should be. I think the nice thing about with SMS, what we've seen is that shorter messages tend to lead to better delivery and response rates, because with SMS, longer messages get broken up into segments, and they sometimes get reassembled incorrectly or poorly in the UI on the candidate's device. The nice thing about WhatsApp is you don't have to worry about that. And because you have such a high character count for your message, if you need to send a longer message with more content, with more information about a job, you have that flexibility. So I think it's a really good channel actually for those medium to long form messages.
Excellent. Is it difficult to implement Send's WhatsApp messaging? I mean, I can take that one, Matt. I mean, short answer is no. I mean, we effectively work, Sense as a very sort of able and comprehensive customer support and implementation team. So, not to be we don't want you to be concerned about adopting the medium, but effectively what we would do is work with you to help you sort of set up best practices, onboard your users, train them, but also around like the templates as well. So, making sure that those templates are relevant, specific to the markets that you're working in to help you get the best adopt rate. So short answer is you don't need to be a WhatsApp specialist. If this is something you want to adopt, Sense is able to help you on that journey and get you up and running. Do you support other browsers or only Chrome? If so, which browsers can this be used on?
I can speak to that one, David. So we support Chrome for the extension. We've also seen customers use Microsoft Edge with the extension, because it is like a Chromium-based browser and allows you to use Chrome extensions with it. So we have seen customers have success doing that. But if for whatever reason you're on a browser that can't use Chrome extensions, we also offer a web app experience, and we've even seen some customers that have a little bit more of a technical team actually iframe the WhatsApp messaging product into their ATS systems. So we can be pretty flexible on implementations for different browsers.
Excellent. I think that's all the questions that we have today. If there's anything that we didn't manage to kind of get to towards the end, then we'll follow up directly with yourselves afterwards. Otherwise, we can go from there. So yeah, we want to thank everyone for their time today, for the opportunity to reach out and have this webinar and join Matt and myself, and we'll absolutely send the recording around afterwards. So then you can distribute amongst your teams, but by all means, reach out to us directly, and we're happy to continue the conversation.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.